Ladies and gentlemen, when we think about what drives human innovation, what drives the edge of possibility, we often imagine it as something external: breakthroughs in technology, advances in materials, new frontiers in physics or engineering. But the real engine behind humanity's greatest leaps lies within the mind, the complex, malleable, and astonishingly powerful organ that orchestrates everything we do, everything we dream, and everything we are capable of achieving. Today, I want to take you inside a mind that has been shaping the course of our civilization, not merely by chance or circumstance, but by design, a mind that models the future before it manifests, a mind that wrestles with the impossible until it becomes inevitable. Consider for a moment the way a child approaches a puzzle. There is curiosity, but there is also a relentless, sometimes reckless drive to solve it. That same drive, amplified by intellect and sustained by purpose, is what allows someone to imagine colonizing Mars while simultaneously redesigning transportation on Earth. It's not enough to have intelligence alone. Intelligence is passive if it is not paired with an almost compulsive desire to understand, to deconstruct reality, and then to rebuild it according to one's vision. In this mind, pattern recognition is not a conscious effort. It is instinctive. Every detail in a problem is seen, weighed, and repurposed. The act of thinking becomes almost tangible. It's like watching an intricate machine where every cog is calibrated to anticipate, to predict, to innovate. Neuroscience tells us that the brain operates through a delicate balance of plasticity and pruning. Neural pathways form, grow stronger with repetition, and are discarded when no longer useful. This process, multiplied by a mind capable of intense focus, allows ideas to evolve at speeds that seem unnatural. For someone with the temperament I'm describing, this is not just a metaphor. It is literally the mechanism by which new realities are created. Decisions are made with a combination of emotional intuition and rational calculation. Risk is not feared, it is quantified. And failure is nothing more than an input, a data point, a variable in a system designed to improve over time. To illustrate this, let's reflect on a real-world example: the transition from electric vehicles being seen as niche curiosities to becoming a global imperative. It wasn't just engineering prowess. It wasn't just access to capital or networks. It was a deep understanding of human behavior, logistics, energy systems, and even psychology. The mind at work here thinks in systems, not in isolated problems. Every challenge is a node in a larger network, and every solution is evaluated for its cascading impact on multiple systems simultaneously. There is an almost surgical attention to feedback loops, to the delicate interplay between what is possible today and what is inevitable tomorrow. But the mind we are exploring is not immune to emotion. In fact, emotion is an engine, not a hindrance. Passion, frustration, and even obsession are used as tools. Neuroscientific studies have shown that emotional engagement enhances memory, strengthens learning, and sharpens creativity. In this context, moments of intense feeling, whether they are exhilaration at a breakthrough or the sting of failure, become accelerants for innovation. This mind does not shy away from conflict or challenge. It leans into them, because it knows that the friction of real, world problems refines ideas into something tangible, something lasting. Imagine the act of creating a reusable rocket. On the surface, it's an engineering challenge: materials science, propulsion physics, aerodynamics. But beneath the surface, it's a mental exercise in probabilistic thinking, long-term planning, and emotional endurance. It's the ability to simulate failure in your mind thousands of times, to anticipate every possible malfunction, and to design a system that is resilient, adaptable, and ultimately capable of achieving what others deem impossible. This is cognitive architecture in action, an iterative loop of prediction, testing, learning, and refinement, fueled by a drive that is as psychological as it is logical. And here's a fascinating insight from neuroscience. Creativity and intelligence are not merely about solving problems in isolation. They are about connecting disparate ideas, seeing an analogy between a rocket and an algorithm, between software and transportation networks, between energy storage and human behavior. This mind thrives on interdisciplinarity. Every piece of knowledge, every experience, every observation is a potential connection point for something new. It's an encyclopedic, almost obsessive compilation of information, continuously cross-referenced in real time. In essence, the brain becomes a simulation engine, projecting multiple futures, analyzing the probabilities of each, and then acting decisively on the outcome that aligns with long-term objectives. Yet, there is something deeply human in this process. Despite the genius-level cognition, the mind does not operate in a vacuum. Relationships, trust, mentorship, and collaboration are integral to its success. Neuroscience confirms that human social connection is not just comforting, it enhances cognitive flexibility and problem solving. Even the most brilliant mind needs feedback, critique, and support. Decisions are informed not only by algorithms and data, but by empathy, intuition, and a nuanced understanding of people. This integration of emotional intelligence and high-order reasoning is what allows monumental ideas to move from thought to reality, from sketches on a napkin to orbiting spacecraft or revolutionary transportation networks. History has shown us that transformative ideas often seem absurd at first. The human mind has a natural bias toward skepticism, toward maintaining the status quo. But the mind I am describing sees possibility where others see impossibility. It is relentless in its pursuit, tirelessly challenging assumptions, dismantling conventional wisdom, and reconstructing reality with audacious clarity. Neural mechanisms of reward and motivation are amplified here. Success is measured not by accolades but by progress toward a vision. The emotional satisfaction is derived from creation, from movement along a self-defined trajectory, from the tangible impact on humanity's trajectory. If we look at artificial intelligence, the same principles apply. AI is not simply a tool, it is an extension of human cognition. A mind capable of envisioning AI's role in augmenting human potential operates on both a technical and ethical axis. It evaluates neural network architectures, anticipates societal impact, and weighs long-term existential implications, all simultaneously. This is multi-dimensional thinking at its purest. Logic and empathy intertwined, strategy and ethics aligned, intellect and imagination fused. Every innovation becomes a mirror, reflecting both the capacities and responsibilities of the human brain. What makes this mind unique, however, is the marriage of obsession and patience. Neuroscience often discusses the role of delayed gratification in high achievement. The ability to tolerate uncertainty, to endure the discomfort of not knowing, and to persist when immediate rewards are absent, is a hallmark of exceptional cognition. When you can hold a vision for decades and structure your decisions around that horizon, you are no longer playing in the present. You are actively shaping the future. This is the essence of visionary thinking. It is simultaneous audacity and discipline, intuition and analysis, creativity and rigorous experimentation. And underlying it all is a profound philosophical understanding humanity is capable of more than we often imagine. The brain is a tool, but it is also a responsibility. Every innovation carries consequences. Every breakthrough can elevate or endanger. The mind at work here is acutely aware of this, constantly integrating moral reasoning, ethical foresight, and long-term sustainability into the equation. It is not a reckless pursuit of novelty, it is a deliberate, strategic, and conscientious expansion of what is possible, grounded in scientific understanding and ethical deliberation. One of the most fascinating aspects of this mind is how it treats failure, not as an endpoint, but as raw material for refinement. Neuroscientific studies reveal that the brain strengthens neural connections when learning from mistakes, especially when mistakes are analyzed systematically. In this context, failure is data. Each setback, whether a rocket crash or a miscalculated business move, is meticulously dissected, understood, and integrated into future strategies. The emotional response to failure is tempered by curiosity and resilience, transforming what would paralyze most minds into fuel for accelerated progress. It is a cognitive alchemy, turning loss into insight, chaos into structure, disappointment into momentum. Consider the process of launching a rocket multiple times before achieving reusable success. On the surface, it appears costly and risky, but in the mind we are exploring, each failed attempt is a hypothesis being tested in the real world. Every explosion, every malfunction, every system error is an experiment that yields exponentially valuable information. This is the embodiment of the scientific method, applied at an industrial, technological, and even societal scale. And because this mind is capable of holding immense pressure without emotional collapse, it can continue iterating where others would give up. It is a combination of intellectual rigor and emotional fortitude, rarely observed in the same individual. But what truly sets this mind apart is its temporal vision, the ability to operate across multiple time scales simultaneously. It thinks in decades, not quarters, in centuries, not years. When solving problems, it accounts for immediate effects, short-term adaptations, and long-term consequences. It constructs feedback loops that span years, sometimes generations. This is not mere strategic thinking. It is an understanding of human systems, physics, technology, and economics as a single interconnected organism. Decisions are never isolated. They are part of a living, dynamic ecosystem that the mind constantly models, simulates, and optimizes. For example, in the realm of sustainable energy, the challenge is not simply designing a superior battery or creating a solar panel. The challenge is holistic. It involves manufacturing processes, supply chains, consumer adoption patterns, grid integration, geopolitical considerations, and environmental impact. To address this, the mind must operate like a neural network itself, analyzing countless variables, predicting system-wide outcomes, and adjusting strategies dynamically. It is systems thinking at its most profound, informed by empirical data, scientific reasoning, and a deep empathy for humanity's needs. And yet, there is a poetic simplicity underlying all this complexity. The mind does not glorify itself, it glorifies progress. It sees beauty in logic, elegance in efficiency, and joy in the act of creation. It finds satisfaction in moving humanity forward, in expanding the frontiers of knowledge, and in solving problems that were once deemed unsolvable. Emotional resonance is as important as technical mastery. Happiness, fulfillment, and purpose are derived not from accolades but from the alignment of vision, action, and impact. This is a subtle but profound lesson in human motivation. True genius integrates intellect, emotion, and ethical responsibility seamlessly. It is also deeply adaptive. The brain thrives on novelty and challenge. This mind continuously reinvents itself, continuously explores new domains, and refuses to be constrained by traditional boundaries. One week it is advancing space exploration, the next it is revolutionizing transportation, the next it is designing neural interfaces. Each field informs the others, creating cross-pollination of ideas. This interdisciplinary agility is a hallmark of exceptional cognition. The ability to absorb vast amounts of information, synthesize it into actionable insight, and apply it in areas that may initially seem unrelated. Moreover, this mind leverages what psychologists call metacognition, the ability to think about thinking. Every thought, every assumption, every decision is subject to reflection and analysis. Cognitive biases are actively identified and counteracted. Long-term objectives are constantly weighed against short-term impulses. This self-aware, self-correcting system allows for extraordinary precision in decision-making, even under conditions of extreme uncertainty. It is like observing a chess player who is simultaneously playing multiple boards while analyzing all potential moves, probabilities, and outcomes. In the realm of artificial intelligence, this quality becomes even more apparent. The mind does not see AI merely as a tool, but as a collaborator, an extension of human capability. Neural networks are analyzed, optimized, and deployed not only for efficiency, but for ethical alignment and systemic impact. There is a profound understanding that technological power without foresight can be catastrophic. Therefore, each innovation is scrutinized, simulated, and stress-tested against societal and moral frameworks. It is the integration of technical mastery, strategic foresight, and ethical reasoning at a scale few can even imagine. Yet, perhaps the most human aspect of this mind is its ability to dream relentlessly while remaining grounded in reality. It is not distracted by fantasies. It is inspired by possibilities. It visualizes a future that others cannot see, but it does so with a meticulous understanding of the laws of physics, the constraints of engineering, and the imperatives of economics. Dreams are converted into prototypes. Prototypes are tested rigorously. Failures are incorporated as knowledge. Incrementally, audacious visions become tangible, concrete achievements that reshape the world. This is the extraordinary balance between imagination and execution, between audacity and discipline, that allows a mind to redefine the possible. And this mind does not stop at personal achievement. There is an intrinsic desire to solve problems that affect humanity at scale: climate change, energy scarcity, transportation inefficiency, space colonization, and the interface between humans and machines. It recognizes that the greatest innovations are not measured in wealth or fame, but in their capacity to enhance human existence. This is a mindset rooted in both empathy and logic, in moral reasoning and strategic thinking. It is a rare alignment of intellectual capability with emotional and ethical intelligence. History will remember such minds not merely for the products they create, but for the paradigms they shift, the ways in which they expand our understanding of what is achievable. Neuroscience teaches us that the human brain is capable of extraordinary adaptation, learning, and plasticity. But this mind takes that adaptability and amplifies it exponentially, modeling reality, iterating relentlessly, and transforming both failures and successes into cumulative advantage. It is, in essence, a blueprint for human potential itself. And so, when we think about innovation, when we think about the limits of human capability, we must remember that it is not the technology alone that changes the world. It is the mind behind it. The principles, the thought processes, the resilience, and the ethical foresight are what turn imagination into reality. This mind exemplifies how intelligence, when paired with passion, emotional acuity, systemic thinking, and ethical awareness, can become an engine for profound, civilization-altering change. And as we reflect on this, it becomes clear that genius is not merely a measure of intelligence or knowledge. It is a measure of how one leverages the mind's capacities to transform reality. It is the capacity to hold complex, even contradictory ideas simultaneously, to embrace uncertainty without fear, and to convert curiosity into creation. This mind thrives on challenge, not comfort. It seeks problems worthy of its capabilities, not tasks that flatter its ego. Every action is deliberate, every experiment purposeful, every failure instructive. There is an almost poetic rhythm to how this mind operates. It recognizes that progress is incremental yet exponential, that breakthroughs often arise at the intersection of disciplines, and that human progress is cumulative. Each idea, each prototype, each innovation is a building block, not just for personal ambition, but for the expansion of human potential. It treats time as a canvas, and the mind as both brush and palette, painting possibilities that were once confined to dreams into tangible realities that can reshape civilization. And yet, what makes this mind truly extraordinary is its relentless commitment to the future, not merely to what is achievable in a lifetime, but to what can endure for generations. Every decision, from the design of a spacecraft to the architecture of a neural interface, carries foresight. Every action is considered for its long-term impact on humanity, on our planet, and on our collective destiny. This is a level of cognitive responsibility that is rare, profound, and deeply human. It demonstrates that the highest purpose of intelligence is not to serve the self, but to serve the species, to expand the frontier of knowledge, and to safeguard the future. When you study this mind, you realize that it is not bound by conventional thinking. It is a mind that questions assumptions relentlessly, that looks at failure as feedback, that treats risk as a variable to be measured rather than a barrier to be feared. It operates at the nexus of audacity and discipline, creativity and execution, logic and empathy. It is a masterclass in what the human brain can achieve when it is fully engaged, fully conscious, and fully committed to a mission larger than itself. And here lies the most important lesson: the mind's power is not simply in solving problems that exist, but in envisioning problems that others have yet to imagine. It is in asking the questions that others are afraid to ask, and in seeking answers that others cannot see. It is in turning what seems like science fiction into science fact, and in inspiring those around it to rise to levels of thought and action they never thought possible. As we step back from this exploration, one thing becomes undeniable: the potential of the human mind is vast, perhaps infinite. But what we have witnessed is not just potential, it is purpose realized, a mind capable of synthesizing knowledge across disciplines, of integrating emotion with logic, of learning from failure without fear, and of acting with foresight and ethical clarity, is a force capable of altering the trajectory of civilization. It reminds us that human ingenuity is boundless when disciplined by vision, ethics, and relentless curiosity. So, when we think about the challenges of the 21st century, the need for sustainable energy, the exploration of space, the integration of AI, and the safeguarding of our species, it is this kind of mind that lights the path forward. Not because it seeks glory or recognition, but because it understands the responsibilities of intelligence. Not because it is infallible, but because it learns faster than it fails. Not because it is detached from humanity, but because it is deeply committed to the advancement of humanity. And perhaps most importantly, it teaches us that each of us, in our own ways, can cultivate the principles it embodies: relentless curiosity, courage in the face of uncertainty, disciplined iteration, ethical foresight, and the audacity to imagine a better future. It reminds us that genius is not born, it is forged through focus, resilience, and the willingness to confront the unknown. It reminds us that progress is a product of intention, action, and the courage to dream beyond the limits imposed by the present. Ladies and gentlemen, the story of this mind is not merely about one individual. It is about what the human brain is capable of when fully awakened, when challenged, and when dedicated to a purpose far greater than itself. It is about the blueprint of human potential, the engine of creativity, and the spark that ignites transformative change. It is about the remarkable capacity we all share to imagine, to innovate, and to redefine what is possible. And so, as you leave this hall tonight, I ask you to remember this: the future is not a distant place. It is something we create with every thought, every action, and every decision. The mind is our most powerful instrument. When it is honed, disciplined, and fueled by purpose, it can move mountains, reach the stars, and redefine humanity itself. Dream boldly, act deliberately, and never underestimate the capacity of your own mind. The possibilities are endless, and the journey is just beginning. Thank you.